HD2 Rochester and everywhere you go at WGR Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. You found us. Thank you for joining us. 585-866-4326 is our phone number, as we have 2 hours of sports talk excellence coming your way here. As let's start off the week right here. A lot to get to. We've got the Sabres, who by the end of tonight could have the Atlantic wrapped up. That would be unbelievable. Even if they win tonight, they will have home ice for the first round, at least clinched, and that would be unbelievable too, as tonight's not the regular season finale. It certainly is going to be Wednesday against Dallas. Tonight's game in Chicago, 8:30 here on WGR Rochester, as well as 96.5 WCMF, as 7:30 will be the pregame coverage. Dan DeLorean in the other room. Terrible take Timmy wearing his Guardians hat, always at the ready. And you're welcome to join us. Again, the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line is 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub. That's 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com. We're on 95.7 FM, AM 950. Always free in the Odyssey app. And you can watch and leave a comment. Also, we are on YouTube and Twitch. Thank goodness Rory McIlroy pulled this out. Now, if there's one show, going back to Sports Bar 1.0, that has been critical of Rory McIlroy, it's been our show, basically, because, well, he married the Rochester girl. There were some things that were going on that we weren't too high on. But that's all in the past, and we're just watching this from a golf standpoint. And here's Rory McIlroy with a 5-shot lead after the second round. And they throw up the graphic that anyone who has a 5-shot lead – you got to go back decades last time somebody blew that sort of lead. And even at that, it would be highly unusual even for Rory. But there was Rory, double bogey. There's Justin Rose. Like, wow, this feels so familiar. And this is Augusta National. This isn't this isn't the PGA last year, the U.S. Open, where Rory blows the lead and he doesn't do the interview and immediately peels off in the parking lot. No, this is where you got to stick around. And he'd have to stick around and do the Amanda Balionis runner-up interview that she, just kind of put a mic in one question to Scottie Scheffler. But it would have set up for one of the most awkward moments, dare I say, in sports history. Would Augusta National actually let Rory off the hook if he blew that for the tradition where last year's winner puts on the green jacket of the new winner? That would have been really weird. But Justin Rose fell apart on the back nine. Scottie Scheffler 75 on Friday. That was too much to overcome. He was really good on Saturday, good on Sunday, but you got to be good all 4 rounds in this. So congrats to Rory, just the 4th ever to repeat at the Masters. And that's kind of a fun way to start really, by my standard, kind of the golf season. I know we had a lot of golf action with the tour and everything, but to me, it is still the 4 majors and a few other spots, and that was as good as it got, in my opinion, on Sunday, and good for Rory. I guess I was wrong on this, though. I said one thing to watch for was the amateur interview. They dropped that. I don't know when that happened. No more drippy amateur interview. They're like, one of the proud traditions here at Augusta National is we have amateurs.
Well, they all missed the cut. That might have been a part of it.
That might have been, too. That could have been it, too. I guess you had to make the cut in order for you, or maybe they just, CBS is like, we really don't need some kid up there, and let's get to the stuff that people are actually watching for. We did get the fake bird noises at Augusta National that they insist on, and all the other things. The azaleas weren't quite out on 13. It looks like they were a little past their prime, but the course certainly looked green and everything. I thought it was a bad finish for CBS. Now, Nance, when Rory tees off on 18, he says, oh, that's bad right away. So give credit to Nance. But this isn't Nance. This is everybody in the truck. Like, Rory is in trouble. That second shot, what do you do? And they're showing the angle, like, okay, maybe he can hook it up and put it over the tree. And that's what he does. And he gets it up. And like, okay, where did it land? Where did it land? How many cameras and how many spotters do they have? That's your one job. Like, for me or you, like, if you have been to any, I'm talking now, you go back all the ways to Locust Hill here in our town, but if you've been to any pro golf tournament, maybe you were at the PGA Championship in 23, it's not always easy. Like, you see the shot, and but we're not trained for that. It's not our day-to-day job. We're just kind of spectators, right? For witnesses that were there for the PGA Championship, that were there for the Michael Block hole-in-one, I asked my friend Brittany and Ben. I said, "How did they were there right on the green? And like, how did you know it was coming in? It was the sound. That's how everybody knew. Well, guess when a hole-in-one just goes clang like that, wow, that really happened. But I digress. CBS, just a mess for them, where they couldn't figure out, here is the important shot, that if Rory double bogeys this, we're actually going to get a playoff out of this? Well, they eventually figured out, oh, it went into the bunker. So how many spotters, all the technology, how many cameras? Oh, speaking of cameras, there's the winning putt. And what do you see? You see Rory's ass. That's all you see. No ball going in. You can assume it's a very short putt, but at least can you imagine if he missed that and you couldn't actually see it, that his whole frame is actually blocking that out? There's no reverse angle anywhere. You have to, and again, it's on an incline. I understand that. You really can't have a camera pointing out, but you could zoom in from another angle. And who was directing that yesterday? Poor job by CBS. I'm sure Augusta National thought it was just fantastic, though, how everything was. We did have something highly unusual. And truth be told, I was not watching on Saturday. I was getting yard work in. Yeah, just like every other, Rochester area dad. Like, oh, that was a yard work Saturday, right? So Rory teeing off on 17, and we had this gem, again, from Saturday.
Give me back my son!
Tim, do you even know what that is?
I don't.
Give me back my son!
See, that you are kind of the dividing line. Okay. So
I like it.
That is from a movie called Ransom. Mel Gibson. It came out, I had to look this up, 1996. That's 30 years ago. Like, if you had when did that come out? I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. Oh my gosh, it was actually 30. Now, part of this was 30 years ago. It was in every damn TV commercial break when they're showing the trailer. And you have to imagine, like, you say Mel Gibson now, it's like, yeah, I've got my thoughts on that guy. Like, he's kind of done in Hollywood, right? But back then, this was Mel Gibson, Lethal Weapon. You trot him out there, and he was box office gold. And it was just a very, I do remember watching this, just a very basic plot where Mel Gibson is a rich guy, and someone kidnaps his son for ransom, and it's the whole game of trying to get back your son and not pay the ransom, which, okay, whatever. It's a very basic movie. But in the trailer, it's Mel Gibson yelling into a phone to the criminal holding his son. So I had, and if you're a longtime Jim Rome listener, that Dandelion remembers this from Jim Rome. Mel Gibson getting quoted on hole 17.
Give me back my son!
That is way more creative than Get in the Hole. Get in the Hole should be retired forever and ever. Somebody went to mashed potatoes years ago. We tried unsuccessfully 2023 just to, a little hat tip to ourselves, basically. Like somebody yelled, master stroke, which if you master stroke, I mean, that doesn't sound like that would get you kicked out. What a great stroke that was for you, golfer. But here in the sports bar, a master stroke means just a big jinx, the Maloik. So, again, I credit the person for kind of coming up with that. And wherever Rome is doing his show today, I'm sure he's going to have a field day. But that's the difference between generations there, Tim.
Yeah, I love it.
But
Give me back my son.
That might become part of my arsenal, but I did not know the origination of it.
Right, yeah. So if you think if you are 30 years old or younger, you have no idea what I'm talking about. This annoying commercial with Mel Gibson propping up this, and of course, why are they buying ads? Because the movie wasn't really that good. But hey, it's a holiday weekend coming up. You like Mel Gibson, right? 2 thumbs up. Hey, whoa, his son's in trouble. He's mad. He's going to have some revenge. Like, it was just not a good movie from my recollection. And that's funny. Dan DeLorean remembered it. I quizzed him. And I want to say he's younger than you, but he remembered it not from the movie, but just from Rome, just kind of using that as a drop. But if you ever want to know, like, where do things come from on our show, and like the 9 times, like honestly, the 9 times, I don't remember how the 9 times thing ever happened.
9 times.
But it just kind of stuck, and it was just kind of a goofy thing. Somebody asked me, like, why do you guys do that? And I'm just like, I don't know. Just like how many like inside jokes that kind of happen, and you just kind of roll with it. Didn't even set up the show here. Just wanted to jump into that. Jake Bassino, he's with the Rochester Nighthawks. He'll join us next segment. All right, so as of yesterday morning, the Nighthawks were alive. However, San Diego won last night, so the season will end for the Nighthawks coming up this week. It's a home-and-home with Georgia, and it's kind of a lost season in my opinion. This roster was good, but you had a goaltender that was suspended, and you had some other injuries and whatnot. And you had a coach that was fired, but Jake Bassino is one of the best defenders in this league. And he will join us by phone there. And Sunday being Native American Heritage Day at the Blue Cross Arena. And, again, we prop up the Nighthawks. We're very happy to have our local teams. Speaking of local teams, I can't pile on the Amerks. Providence set the record for best points percentage in American Hockey League history. So to think back, 8 days ago, well, now 9 days ago. 9 days ago.
9 times.
Amerks beat Providence here. Well, the Amerks did not beat Providence in Providence, so no points for Rochester on Saturday. And Springfield, a team that, just like the Amerks, trying to chase points, they get the 2 points. The Amerks come away with nothing. Utica did lose. So the Amerks magic number is down to 1. Now, the benefit here for the Amerks is this, where you had this stupid schedule. 4 games in 6 days, and then you tack on another in Syracuse, and then you've got to head out 6 of these last 7 on the road. Well, that one of those last 7 that is not on the road is the next one up, and that's the regular season home finale. That will be coming up Friday night against Cleveland. The Cleveland team that needs this if they want to avoid the play-in round, which you'll hear like the 4-5. Well, you win that gives you momentum going. Sure, but I'd rather just kind of skip ahead and actually get to the division semifinals. So for Cleveland, they're going to come in with something to play for. All the Amerks need is 1. Send it to overtime. That would be such a relief that when you go on the road to Wilkes-Barre Saturday, and then Hershey Sunday, all right, you can rest guys. You can do whatever you need to do. You can make it the Jacksonville Icemen wearing Amerks jerseys for all I care.
In a perfect world, they can have it clinched by Wednesday when Utica and Belleville play, and then they don't even have to worry about the weekend because if Utica drops a point, if they get a loser point or lose the game in regulation, the Amerks clinch just through that. But it would be nice to get it on their own, not back into it.
Yeah, that would be ideal. But you know what? I'm not going to complain if those.
Just get it done. Doesn't matter how.
If Utica doesn't get the 2 points against Belleville on Wednesday. And again, this This is where it kind of gets to this is the last time Don Stevens will call a regular season game, period, at the Blue Cross Arena. As Don will be, I believe, going on that last road trip. And we were joined by Andrew Mossbooks on Friday. Damn it, Andrew, you wouldn't give it up to us. I'm like, give us the dates here. I've heard some things I can't really say. I understand.
You wouldn't even tell me, and I technically work for him.
Right. So let's see. Right. So if we're playing this out, they want to get this in as soon as possible, because you're in a division right now where hey, the Cleveland Cavaliers made the postseason. Who gets the priority out in Cleveland? Is it the Cavaliers or is it the Monsters? Yeah, you know the answer to that. So last year, that really held up the series with Laval. So by saying that, like, this first opportunity they can get Cleveland to clear their home dates, and this is not going to involve the Amerks unless Cleveland falls to the 4. But regardless, you want to speed things up for the whole division, the whole league. I would predict it's not going to be a long layoff. I would think they would go, and I don't know this, but I would think 22nd, 24th, 25th. I would think that would be, and then the following week, that would set up. And it wouldn't be just an Amerks thing. It would be all the 4 or 5 matchups across the league, all the play-in stuff. So to me, that would kind of make sense. And out of that, the Amerks would have one home game. And, that's another thing, too. The Amerks cannot track them down now for 4. So that ship has sailed. You would be the 5. And the way I recall this is the 5 would actually host the first game, which
I think they switched it to 1-1-1.
1-1-1.
It's not 1-2. It was previously, but I think now it's 1-1-1.
Well, I think it's. We'll ask Warren for clarification on this. From what I recall, the home team, the team with the better seed, can call the shot there. We'll see if we can't figure that out. But if you're looking at Toronto, I would think that Coliseum would be, they don't play at Air Canada or whatever they call it now. They call it Air Canada. They play at the smaller arena, and you should have your day clear for that, I would think, if you're Toronto, if they end up being the 4. 866-4326 is our phone number. Of course, we need to kind of give some love to the Sabres. How weird is it when we're talking about scheduling that you didn't have any Sabre hockey at all? This has been a league that has been jammed up for good reason. All right, we love the Olympics. Made a lot of sense. Not going to reduce the number of games in the National Hockey League. So the NBA, their regular season's wrapped up. They're going to start their playing stuff. We got one more week. And for the Sabres, that's 2 more games. But it's a little unusual that the Sabres didn't play Friday. They didn't play Saturday. They didn't play Sunday. They should be raring to go tonight. Wednesday, I kind of get it because all the games are on top of each other, and the Rangers, for as kind of a bad of a season the Rangers had, they were playing better. They hung like 8 goals previously. They beat Detroit earlier that week. The Rangers gave the Sabres a game. The Sabres answered the bell in the 3rd. Tonight, you have to take care of business and take care of it quickly. Sounds like UPL will be starting in goal. Sabres and Chicago. And sifting through this, Montreal is 2 points back. So the only way Montreal can actually catch the Sabres is if the Sabres just fall flat. Like if Montreal wins their last game, then you would have to basically lose your last 2 because the regulation wins being the tiebreaker in all this. For the Sabres, they are finishing the regular season Wednesday. So the Sabres and Canadiens tied at 106 points. Montreal has 1 game remaining, Sabres with 2. So this whole time where the Sabres had not the games in hand, now they have the game in hand on Montreal. So 2 points tonight for the Sabres, regardless of however it happens, regulation or overtime, doesn't really matter for Buffalo because they have the tiebreaker on Montreal. That would ensure that the Sabres would host in round number 1. Doesn't give them the division. What will give the division to Buffalo tonight is anything other than a regulation win by Tampa. And again, this is assuming the Sabres win tonight. Again, Sabres win tonight. Anything less than a regulation win by Tampa, and Buffalo will be the divisional champs. Who would have thought that? And the idea that Dallas comes in on Wednesday, I mean, now we're getting ahead of ourselves. Like, yeah, they're locked in. Like, you can rest guys. You can give UPL a night off if you want. Anybody that is a little banged up, you don't have to worry about here. You can try different things out. You can promote guys from Rochester that, hey, let's give a look to Hellenius. Don't think that might not happen. It may. Like, if you're locked in, why not? If it ends up being one of those games. Now, say this doesn't happen tonight. Well, the good news is that Dallas has nothing to play for in that game other than, hey, if we want momentum during the postseason, Dallas will be the 2 seed in their division. And again, I hate this divisional format. Pierre LeBrun put out a poll on X, and poll on X, you have to understand that that is not scientific. You've got bias everywhere, right? This is not Quinnipiac or whoever, like that's going to do this very, very officially. But amount of people that like the current playoff format. In other words, what playoff format would you like? Pierre LeBrun puts out. It's current playoff format, 1 versus 8, 1 versus 16. How many people said it, the current format? That would be the number of the sports bar. Of course. It's always the magic number here. 9%.
9 times.
Of Pierre LeBrun's poll said, yes, I like the current format. And why it's unscientific? Come on, you've all seen these polls, and then you just vote for something dumb, right? It's like, it's not really your opinion. You're just trying to skew things one way or another. But Sabres hockey tonight, 7:30 pregame here on WGR Rochester. Nighthawks are home Sunday. We will talk to Jake Pacino. He is a defender, 2nd year. Albany. He will join us next year. Time for your calls, too, as all of hour number 2 is wide open for you. Oh, yes, I've got thoughts on the development, the gift that keeps on giving. Who's not speaking at Patriot pre-draft press conference action today? Why is that? There's also kind of a draft note that, could one of these premier edge guys fall? And when I mean fall, like could they fall to 26? We'll debate that coming up here. Gene Battaglia with you, Tim Schneider, and Dan DeLorean as well here on WGR Rochester.
Sports Update.
Sabres hockey tonight, Buffalo at Chicago. Win for Buffalo in regulation, and anything less than the regulation win for Tampa Bay, and it'll be the Sabres as the Atlantic Division champs. Head coach Lindy Ruff says, though, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Just take care of one game at a time, and knowing that Chicago's got some real good young players and they can be dangerous, so we got to make sure that, we bring our A game. It's going to be a hard task.
7:30 for the pregame coverage tonight here on WGR Rochester. Meanwhile, the Amerks magic number is down to 1. Amerks hosting Cleveland this Friday night. It's the final home game of the regular season. Perhaps it won't mean anything by that point, as Utica playing Belleville this coming Wednesday. Rochester Red Wings open a series tomorrow against Buffalo. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
The best local sports talk in the Flower City. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR. Rochester.
I love springtime lacrosse. Just kind of getting out there and seeing some, whether it's high school or Division III. And we're lucky in Rochester to have, of course, the Nighthawks. Now, kind of a disappointing season for the Nighthawks, right? But at least we had him after an offseason of uncertainty. And one of the leaders on this team on the back end, Jake Bassino, coming on the sports bar for the first time. Jake, appreciate the time, today. And, the importance for your team just kind of finishing strong here this weekend. Jake, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. You get 2 games left, right? It hasn't been the season that you really wanted here, but your thoughts on how you would like the 2025-26 season to finish up for your team?
Yeah, obviously, like you said, not the end of the season that we wanted. Your goal every single year is to get to that championship game, and unfortunately, we put ourselves in spots that we shouldn't have been, and it's all about just kind of like ending the year strong. These last 2 games, doubleheader, it's going to be a tough weekend, but I think what we're going to do is just prepare this week like it's a championship game, and just go out on a high note.
Yeah, some interviews, Jake, will kind of ask the warm-up questions and the hard one. I'm going to get the hard one out of the way here, if you're up for it. I'm
up for it.
Okay, cool. What needs to improve here? Because I look at all the talent on your team, and it just didn't click here. And I mean, you could say maybe it's just the talent in this league, and there's a lot of it. But in your opinion, what has to happen next year for this team to make the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, you just said it. It's so hard to win this league, let alone a championship. But just any given week, I think that even a last place team is you look at their roster on paper and they have some big names and everything. So it's anyone's game any weekend, and we just have to we have the names on the paper, we have the guys in the locker room. I think that everyone knows that we have the pieces of the puzzle and everything, and it kind of just comes down to us we have to click, and we have to rise to the occasion on those difficult games. And I believe that we're one of the best teams in the league, and we kind of have to we just have to play like that every single week. I think that obviously it's a long season and everything, and maybe sometimes you have those ups and downs. You're not going to win every single game, but you got to be able to put some runs together and end the bad runs. So, Jake,
in my opinion, when it comes to the outdoor game, for lack of a better term, the fun position, you got to play it at SUNY Albany, the long stick midi, right? But what was that like, making the transition to the box game for you?
Yeah, I think it was obviously, I just said it in terms of the team, but there's ups and downs and everything. And, with a game like outdoor that I've been playing my whole life, and with being an LSM and having a 6-foot stick, things come, a little bit more easier and a little bit more fluid for me in the outdoor game. And, coming into the indoor game and getting drafted and just getting right into the season after my first PLL season, it was a change for sure. I think having that short stick in my hand, it's a whole different game. The strategies and defensive, components to everything is totally different. So I think last year, my rookie year, it was definitely a lot of learning ups and downs and trying to just ask questions and get answers from my captains and all the vets and the coaches and everything. And I honestly applaud them because I've really learned so much from everyone and in that locker room and everything. And I think that this year I just came in with a little bit of confidence because I felt comfortable and, I was going into that same system for a second year. And this year I've felt comfortable and I've just been ready to go. So obviously there's still ups and downs and I'm still learning, but this year was definitely was a good year in terms of my comfortability and my confidence.
His second year here for Jake Pacino, Rochester Nighthawk defender, joining us. The team taking on Georgia. Final game of the season Sunday, 3:00, and that also happens to be the Native American Heritage game. And Jake, you are Native American, and hopefully I get this pronunciation right. Purepecha tribe, correct? What does it mean to you to represent in that way?
Yeah, I think this game is special, and it's a testament to just kind of originating where the game came from and letting everyone know that there is a story behind it and there's a lot to learn, and I'm still learning about my culture, and I know that Zed and Jeremy and everyone, like they're still learning too. There's a lot of unknown and there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people still don't understand. So it's nice to have this type of game and have this type of recognition on the biggest stage. And for me, for playing for Haudenosaunee a couple of times now, and I know for Zed and Jeremy, we really appreciate it, and it kind of gives us a little bit more of a drive for this game, wearing those types of jerseys and, having that type of recognition. So we're excited. Yeah,
get the W on Sunday. Jake, there's so much history in our area, whether that's the Erie Canal or, certainly the George Eastman. Also, your history here, too. You and some players visited Ganondigan this past weekend. Yep. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, visiting there was a whole other eye-opener about how much, we still don't even know about, cultures. I know that Zeddy's Seneca, and he's from the Cattaraugus territory, and Jeremy from Onondaga. But for me personally, it's just such an eye-opener learning about other people's culture and how different, people's cultures are between the Six Nations. I think even Zeddy was kind of alluding to that as well, how different some things are and how many scenarios that we still don't even know about. So visiting there was awesome, and Ainsley, who is the kind of main guy over there, was so knowledgeable, and he was able to answer honestly every single one of our questions. So it was a great day and learning everything, and I'll take those types of days to the heart. No matter what, I'll remember those days forever. So.
Yeah, it's definitely something, I need myself and others to kind of check out at some point. Jake Pacino, native of central New York, and we'll get to that in a little bit, joining us here in the Sports Bar. We mentioned the home and home with Georgia this weekend. What is it like facing a team on that short a turnaround? Do you guys actually charter a flight back? How does that all kind of work there this weekend here, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, we actually have already done it this year. We played Philly on a Saturday, and then played Buffalo on a Sunday or maybe Friday, Saturday. But it's a little different this week because we're facing the same opponent the next day, and it's a flight. So we'll get there Friday, and we'll get ready, and we'll play Saturday. And I'm assuming that we'll be getting on a flight right after the game and getting back to Rochester as soon as we can, so that we can get a good night's sleep and just get ready to play. But honestly, it's nice, you play them on Saturday, you get to know them, and then the next day you kind of just, no one's really going to be throwing anything super different at you. So it's really just about who can adjust on the fly and who can adjust to their good things and kind of execute on their bad things.
Yeah. Jake, you're a great athlete coming out of Liverpool High School. You were part of a state basketball championship team. What kind of player were you? Did you ever give any thought maybe that, going in that direction here, pursuing basketball?
I will say firsthand, I love basketball. It's definitely obviously lacrosse is my favorite sport, but, whenever I get the chance, I get the basketball in my hand and I shoot a couple hoops. But, Yeah, that was an amazing year in high school. I was the first man off the bench and on a team that was pretty good, and we went 26-0 and never lost a game. So it was a pretty fun year, and it was something that I'll never forget because, like I said, there's a lot of ups and downs in pro sports and in sports in general and for kids and everything like that. So to go 26-0 in a season is something special, and I'll never forget that. But no, I didn't think about going pursuing basketball because unfortunately my stature, I'm 5'8", and that might not bode well in college basketball or NBA pursuant. So.
Yeah, but you can certainly ball for sure there, and you'll always have that that state championship on your resume. You majored you majored in criminal justice at Albany. Is that a direction you want to go? I mean, you're only year number 2 in your pro career, but your thoughts on what might be after your time as a player here, Jake?
Yeah, I think I think Albany was great. I think I had criminal justice at first. I actually ended up switching it to the communications and marketing and everything like that. But yeah, the site might not be updated that far. But yeah, school was awesome. I think for me, I think I want to play this game for as long as I can, and hopefully, when the time comes, hopefully my kids and my family could maybe see me play if I play that long and everything like that. So I really kind of plan on just playing, and hopefully one day I can, teach the next generation and be a coach somewhere or pursue something like that because this game is kind of my whole life, and this game has taken me a lot of places, so I want to stick with it for as long as I can.
Jake, this is how old I am. I remember Randy Mearns as a player. Like playing for the Rochester Nighthawks, like now he's your coach. And I'm like, wow, like time kind of fly. Maybe like 20, 30 years in the future, you'll be the head coach of the Nighthawks. What has it been like with Randy kind of taking over here in these last few weeks?
It's been awesome. His energy in the locker room is amazing. He's very knowledgeable on the game, obviously, because he's played himself, and really we are on the field and everything like that. So everything that he tells us before the game is awesome, but at the end of the day, we have to execute it on the field. And obviously we've had a tough time doing that, but he's been amazing in the locker room with his energy and his motivation for us coming into this type of situation. So it's been good.
3:00 Sunday, Nighthawks, last game of this season, taking on Georgia. Defender Jake Pacino has been our guest. It's Native American Heritage game. Go check it out. Jake, appreciate it. Good luck. And, 2 wins. How about this weekend? Is that too much to ask for?
2 wins.
Yeah, 2 wins.
2 wins. That's all we need. 2 wins.
That's it. We'll finish up strong here. Jake, appreciate the time. Let's do this again.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Gene.
Thanks, Jake. Jake Pacino, Rochester Nighthawks. Our guest here in the sports bar. Yeah, that like the somebody did the percentage. Like, I didn't want to kind of go into the, hey, you lost to Buffalo. It's like, damn it, Buffalo. But following loss, like, wait a second, that didn't knock out the Nighthawks yet? I thought for sure there was like a 1% chance that the Nighthawks, as of Saturday night, finally a loss. There was a 1% chance, and with San Diego winning then on Sunday, that kind of poof, there went that 1% chance. But the thing that's encouraging, and remember, it wasn't until August. Think about that. Like, where new ownership comes in, it's not just new ownership. You've got Dan Carey and Craig Brzezinski really as the only holdovers, and you got to hire a whole new staff. You got to do everything, get systems in place. Everything has to be new. They didn't even let them have the front office, the offices at the Blue Cross or the team store. Everything has to change. So going into year 2, I'll have to find out the big question, though. Do we get to go back to the teal uniforms, though? I think that's what people want.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. Like, this was the franchise when Kurt Stiers was the owner, and you're winning 3 championships in that decade. And I understand why, because Kurt Stiers, part of the agreement, he kind of takes technically the history, all right, because that franchise goes up to Halifax, and the colors too. But I say no. You don't own the color teal. Give us back our teal and purple. Give me back my son.
Give me back my son.
Nobody has reported, by the way, Tim, if that guy actually got kicked out. I'm wondering.
I love it.
I love it too. Like, I'm wondering, because a crowd mic, it sounds like he's yelling it out to the world, but he could have just gone up to the CBS mic and done that and gotten away with it. We had the story of Mark Calcavecchia. He was not as unfortunate. Got caught using his cell phone. This is somebody who won a major, not a Masters, won a PGA championship, and they kicked him out. And then when asked before, he's like, "No, I'm never going to say anything. I broke the rules." Like, what are they going to do? By the way, with Sergio Garcia, did you see his meltdown?
I did. Yeah, they're going to do nothing.
They're going to do nothing. They will do nothing for Sergio Garcia. Sergio Garcia, like, acting like a child. Like, I thought Patrick Reed was bad. Like, Garcia wailing, and, oh, by the way, you broke your driver. Really smart there. It's not like you can go get a new one there. Sorry. Like, the round is in progress there, you child. So, like, for Garcia, there was an official that pulled him aside from Augusta National. So they didn't pull him off the course. And when he was asked about it afterward, what did the official say? Garcia declined to comment. Which, that
got yelled at on hole 4 for a meltdown on hole 2, and then was asked by multiple reporters to tell the story and basically said no.
No. Yeah.
And kept it that way.
Yeah, like what? Like, we should get the audio from that. Well, how what needs to happen? Do you need to play better golf? How do you play better golf? Need to hit better shots. Okay, this is not going anywhere. Like, Jake Piscino, great interview. You know why? Because he's into it. Sergio Garcia, not a great interview. Why? Because he don't want to do it. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate the time there. And the Nighthawks again, Sunday, 3 o'clock. Let's talk more Masters. Oh, the gift that keeps on giving. Yes, that'll be coming up as well here. More updates on the scandal between NFL head coach and lead NFL reporter. What was that?
You just can't help yourself.
I can't. God, welcome to Gossip Radio here on WGR Rochester. Terrible take, Timmy. A terrible take will be coming up. My name is Gene Battaglia here on GR.
And AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Hey, it's Gene here for Window Nation. Spring has arrived, and it'll be a great time to open your windows. And wait, your windows won't open easily? They leak when it rains? They have cracked glass? Or they need repainting? Again, getting top-quality custom-fit windows from Window Nation is easy and affordable. Right now, during the More You Buy, the More You Save sale, you can save up to 50% off all your windows. Plus, you can get them with 0 interest for 5 years. During uncertain times, one of the best investments you can make is in your home. In fact, experts report that windows retain 80% of their value. With Window Nation, you'll get windows that easily slide open and closed. They're made with top-quality seals, so they won't leak when it's rainy or windy. And unlike other windows, they're maintenance-free. They're so good, Window Nation stands behind them with a lifetime warranty, and they're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Don't wait to put an end to your window problems. Save big with Window Nation's The More You Buy, The More You Save sale going on now. Sale ends soon, so visit windownation.com now for a consultation.
Freedom of
Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Baseball is a long season. Baseball is a long season. Baseball is a long season. I'll keep telling myself that. Welcome back to the Sports Bar. It's not, normally like if you're a Yankee fan and you're on a schedule, you would point at the Mets and be like, and we can't do that. Both teams, 5-game losing streaks. Yankees tonight will be taking on the Angels at the stadium in the Bronx. The Mets are taking on the Dodgers in L.A. Good luck with that. First on the Mets, I don't think this team is constructed that well. You're going to, now Tommy Pham is going to be the answer? Are you kidding me? This guy that's bounced around with how many times? Relying on too many unknowns. It feels like David Stearns and the Mets. Stearns, a former Milwaukee GM, put a team as if he was still in Milwaukee. That's my opinion on this team. You can't tell me Polanco is better than Alonso. Viento's at first. That doesn't matter. They can't sync anything up with the offense when the pitching gets the job done. And by the way, I don't think their starting pitching is all that great either. Yes, I get it. We'll call them Sacramento on this show, even though they're a much improved team. But there's no excuse why the Mets, with their resources, even mid-April, and long way to go, long season, they should be in last place. And the same thing with the Yankees. When your payroll is how many times more than the Rays, I think the Yankees will be just fine, and they will get that anecdote coming in, that joke. The Angels, although the Angels are okay, I guess, in Cincinnati this past week. Mets, Dodgers tonight. First game will be coming up at 4 o'clock today, as we do not have any afternoon baseball. It'll be Houston at Seattle.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
Aren't you impressed that somebody is belting that out?
I hate it. It's the worst. It's a new week. And it's the same song, and it just...
Is it stuck in your head?
Yeah, I think I have dreams about it now.
Terrible time to me.
You're doing your silly little dance with the stupid little song. Stuck with it. It's permanent. Gross. My take, I think this might be a good one again.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yes, you will. I'm just going to come right out at it, and then I'm going to explain myself rather than explain myself and then say it. The Masters is better than the Super Bowl. It might be because I'm a Browns fan, but when you really break it down, it's two teams, and odds are you're not a fan of that team. You're going to watch the game, you're going to have the pizza, you're going to have the wings, you're going to do your little Super Bowl thing, but we are bogged down by commercials. We're watching the game for not the game generally. Your team is not in it, typically. If the Bills win, disregard this argument. It's going to be the best day of your life, win or lose, other than those 4 times that it happened. Whatever. The Masters as a whole, you get 4 days of it. Masters Sunday is top to bottom. You have 6 full hours of golf coverage. Every shot matters. There's no commercial nonsense. Augusta maybe controls that. I don't know. But you get golf all the way through. You can get what you're looking for all the way through. You get 4 days of it, 3 days of it leading into it. But Masters Sunday as a whole is a better day than Super Bowl Sunday for a multitude of reasons. Those are just a few of them.
Okay. I kind of like this. I like where you're going with this. I would also say, too, that I think there's something psychological about it. Meaning, when it comes to the Super Bowl, and you're watching this, and that's the end of the third quarter. We head to the fourth. And again, assuming your team is not in it. It's like a pit in your stomach, right? Oh, that's it for football. It's going away. This? Hey, it's not just golf. Spring is here. Winter is over. And yes, you love skiing or maybe you love being outdoors. You're excited to get outdoors right now. And look at these green fairways and even greener greens.
The Masters, brought to you by Window Nation.
Yeah, right. Like, that's it. Like, open up your windows and, hey, they're not leaking. Well, like, that's exactly what you want if you're the Masters. And you also hit on this too, Tim, is that the wealth of Augusta National, the idea that, hey, we, Augusta National, control all the inventory. You, CBS, are going to air this, and you're going to listen to our rules. And we're going to keep all the money. Yeah!
I do think that, like, gambling, of course, is a huge factor in all of it. You've got that with the Masters, too, but you're gambling on the Super Bowl because you have nothing else to do with it, right? Like, you're betting on it, and the golf here is insane. Like, Rochester golf is, you've got many, many courses that are, like, world-renowned. You got Oak Hill, you've got, I'm not going to name drop a bunch of them, but, like, they're everywhere. There is great golf here in Rochester. I think that this area appreciates golf more than the Super Bowl for that.
But like, you get to other places in the country and it's like, oh, okay, whatever. But like Augusta, it's a different world. I mean, now, like, where else can you step back in time where you have all the patrons there and not a single one has their cell phone up? I mean, that is just a magical experience that you can actually go somewhere without your phone. And if you do use your phone, you're getting kicked out. They have not been to that rule whatsoever. You would have thought by now maybe they would have caved on that. And you use your phone, shame on you. I mean, when we went to Oak Hill, you brought up Oak Hill, I mean, everybody using their phone everywhere. Just you can't, like, be talking on it or anything, but you're taking pictures, certainly. Just a fantastic weekend of golf. And look, we were all concerned years ago, oh my gosh, what is going to happen to this sport when Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson kind of go away? It's just fine. It's absolutely fine. We have Scotty Scheffler is not a personality. But really, was Tiger Woods a personality? Tiger Woods was a brand.
Right.
Tiger Woods, his personality is oatmeal. Like, oh, yeah, like another Rome quote, like, I feel good. The course is good. I like my chances. Well, that's Tiger. Well, Scheffler is dominating at a level. Hey, he finished second yesterday. For him, that seems like, wait, you didn't finish first? Like, if he doesn't win a major this year, you're going to be like, what's going on here? Rory now. 6. That's 6 for him. So good for Rory. We've changed our tune on Rory. We will have some thoughts coming up next. We got a whole hour to take your calls at 585-866-4326. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line, award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
WBEE HD2 Rochester and everywhere you go at WGR Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
Sabres hockey tonight, Buffalo at Chicago, the penultimate game of the regular season. A win for Buffalo in regulation, and anything less than a regulation win for Tampa Bay, and the Sabres will be the Atlantic Division champs. Head coach Lindy Ruff says he does not have a preference on a first-round opponent.
We know we're going to play a good team. Any team that gets in has played hard enough to get into the playoffs, and it's going to be a good test. I don't think there's any you can point to say, listen, if we played them, that'd be better.
7:30 for the coverage tonight here on WGR Rochester. Meanwhile, the Amherst magic number is down to 1. Amherst hosts Cleveland on Friday night. That'll be the final home game of the regular season. The Amherst could also get in should Utica lose to Belleville this coming Wednesday. Rochester Red Wings open a home series tomorrow against Buffalo. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Stay for a while, you're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coke, and sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have takes much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres! Bills! Americans! Red Wings and Nighthawks! Sports bar! For Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2 of the Sports Bar here in the Flower City. Gene Battaglia with you. Can't say Rochester born, but I am Rochester proud. I've lived here almost my whole life. I was born on an Army base, Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, and came up here right after that. So, yes, my father served, and happy to join you here today here in the Flower City. 585-866-4326. Terrible take Timmy here as well. And one of the things I didn't think we would get into, but this is the way the sports bar probably goes sometimes. Okay, let me digress. I want to know stats from Augusta National, how many people they actually kick out. Whether you're using a cell phone, you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, you're not playing by their rules, or you're yelling things into an open mic that are designed only to get on television.
Give me back my son!
Again, that to me is hilarious. Get in the hole. Oh, come on. That's outdated. Mashed potatoes, come up with something better. We tried Master Stroke a few years ago, but that would be super inside. And this is inside to a certain degree, because unless you're, say, 40, that's where I would put the age marker on this. This is a movie that came out 30 years ago, Mel Gibson's Ransom. And my recollection was, okay, it's just kind of a not really a good movie, but I looked up the cast here, Tim. Okay, the wife is played by Rene Russo. The bad guy, Lieutenant Dan, that's Gary Sinise. Wait a second. Gary Sinise, you're normally a good guy. You're playing the evil guy here. Liv Schreiber was also into this. He went on to have a really good career. Would not recommend in any such way the movie Ransom. We have open lines here this hour at 866-4326. Sabres, Amherst we can talk about. If you want to talk a little baseball, we'll talk about the NFL draft too coming up. As maybe the Bills will have a decision to make every year. I shouldn't say every year, but there are a lot of years where you have a talented player and then some information comes out and that player should fall. And then you're left with the question, all right, are we gonna stop the bleeding here on this prospect here and take him? Now, last year, that wasn't the case at all. I think we all kind of knew what Shedeur Sanders was about, but because the NFL draft machine does its job, and because I think a lot of mocks, to be honest, are kind of based on other mocks, it's just like a big circle. Well, that big circle of mock drafts and opinions aren't from real NFL personnel people. And that's one reason why I think Shedeur Sanders fell. Like, okay, our eyes told us one thing, and personnel people didn't want to kind of go there. And part of it, too, was also Shooter didn't want to back up and made it be known. So, hey, I don't know if we're getting a story like that, but there's somebody else who's going to be falling for actually a much different reason. 866-4326 is her phone number. Oh, the gift that keeps on giving. And our producer, Tim, does not like it when I get all gossipy. And granted, this is...
You're free to do whatever you want.
Yeah, honestly.
But the lip smacking noise in regards to the story is crazy.
Okay, that's a little creepy. All right. But yeah, like just sometimes like we talk about how like the agenda, who is putting this out there for and why, but also the timing of certain things tells you something. And if you need to get something out of the way, but you really don't want public reaction, the Friday afternoon news dump is always a great thing. I remember sitting here, it's a summer afternoon, late June, like, wait a second, 4:30 on a Friday, the Texans just fired Brian Game. What was that about? Well, they didn't want to really, the Texans made that decision. They didn't want to talk about it. That's one thing. But if you really have to address something, we have to address this, but we don't want to get any attention. You do it on a Saturday afternoon. A Saturday afternoon when we're all doing other things called life, right? Hopefully you're not looking at your phone every second. Hopefully you're not sitting in front of whatever TV news channel hoping for updates. It's a Saturday afternoon. Go outside. Be with your kids, right? And that's what they did over the weekend. The New York Times this weekend and again, the New York Times and the Athletic, they're one and the same. The spokesperson, no, we stand behind the Rossini. You don't get the full context, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I guess they looked into this, and sure, I guess in theory it'd be a stretch, but the initial report was that they kind of poo-pooed it, right? Vrabel shot it down. Well, come to find out, we have two developments over the weekend. The New York Times is doing their own internal investigation of Diana Rossini for the, can we say getaway weekend? The getaway with Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel. Rossini is now on leave, paid leave. They're not calling it a suspension, but hey, you know what? We just kind of figure this out, which, hey, it's not ideal. In terms of NFL news, next week, one of, if not the biggest weeks of the year, right? NFL draft. Who's interested in who? What's going on? And here is the lead reporter for the Athletic / New York Times kind of on the sideline. I don't think this is all going to get wrapped up here. Oh, by the way, Rossini's contract is up in August. Wow, did she just put an end to her career? And if you're like saying, hey, that's their personal life, whatever it is, fine. If it was Mike Jones, or dare I say Mike Schneider, Tim Schneider, whoever it was, that's their business. This is the subject you're covering. You can't be doing that stuff. Just kind of a baseline. So she's going to have to pay more for this. But is it coincidence or not that, hey, and I don't know what day we're going to get the info out in Buffalo. In Buffalo, all the teams do this. And there have been some years where I don't think Sean McDermott has gone to meet reporters prior, because really it's not his call. It's the show that belongs to the general manager. Now the team president, Brandon Beane. Brandon Beane will address Bills reporters at some point, and you know what? What we'll get out of that, spoiler alert, not much, if anything. Like, Brandon Beane is not going to tell you, hey, I'm looking to trade down, or hey, 26, Casey Concepcion will be my pick. Far from it. There'll be a lot of talk in circles. But you know what the talk in circles will give you? It just gets everybody kind of fired up for what should be one of the biggest nights in the NFL calendar. And it comes in the offseason, the NFL draft, which will be coming up next Thursday. Well, the Patriots are doing this today. And not at this press conference is Mike Vrabel.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's completely normal.
Right. Like
it's
okay, like that's
some explaining to do, but
like that's one where better that he's not up there. Now Mike Vrabel has nothing to really say about the draft other than, I don't know, We're looking to get better players. Anybody who's going to improve our team. Like, this is cliche season. Like, and it's not, I'm not picking on any particular GM, but what can you say? You're not going to tell you what your plans are, right? But for Mike Vrabel in particular, he can't say anything. If he's out there, hey, how would you ask that question, by the way, if you're a reporter? Do you regret having the organization and having to answer questions like this?
Well, Bob Kraft is a man of honor.
Well, that's a very good point, too. Like, that whole organization might just need to be dipped in peroxide at this point. Like, honestly.
Listerine.
Yeah, like, honestly. Like, Bob Kraft, who, was caught in a position that was not so great. The former head coach, Tim, I mean, like, he's got to be sitting back kind of laughing.
Guarantee.
Like for Vrabel, this is a team that, honestly, look, okay, they way overachieved last year. And good for him. Down year, Patriots. And at some point, you're going to have to answer questions about this. And you probably have other questions to answer, but I think maybe it's also telling, too, because here's a not so big secret, right? The newspaper business, as is ours and others, right? So they're stretched way too thin. So here you have a situation when these photos came out, really, that comes over under crisis management. And just to go to no, you don't see anything here. There's nothing here. The story's not going away. And part of this, too, was actually people internally asking for the investigation. Can you imagine that? Like, wait a second, hold on. We're working in this sort of environment that this is okay? Like, for Rossini, I'm going to make this prediction. She will not be renewed. Like, she tried to tweet something out over the weekend, and like anything else, you just go there for the replies. Like, nobody's there to comment on anything. And for now, it was 4 days ago she last tweeted something out about the NFL informing its teams when they could expect to see replacement officials. Okay, that is a storyline, right? We're not talking about that much because you know why? In terms of human interest, it's like, okay, it's a labor relations talk, CBA talk. And then some of the replies here are they're brutal. And I'm sorry, you brought this on yourself here. So I would be stunned if we get another update on this coming up this week. Like, now it's like, okay, we won't hear from Vrabel until maybe the night of the draft. And it would take some real guts for Mike Reese or anybody on the Patriot beat, they show up, be like, yeah, Mike, we haven't talked to you since those photos came out. What are you, like, I don't know if you're doing that on draft night, but I'd like to see the Boston media try at least. And then for Rossini, like, okay, when you place somebody on leave, it's kind of like, okay, you know what, just, we're still going to pay you, but by us paying you, you really can't sue us. So, just kind of go over there, sit in the corner, and then your contract will run out coming up. As I said before, like what Diana Rossini did or didn't do, she put herself in this situation, and you are responsible for the situation that you're in. Period. Here's a fun fact. First time ever, the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils all missed the postseason in the same era.
Sabres are in, baby.
Sabres are in. I thought, wait a second, what happened to the Islanders? I thought the Islanders were going to be this, punky little team. No, not at all. So it's funny how some teams just kind of collapse, Detroit being at the top of it. Oh, by the way, all these scenarios I'm talking about, hey, you heard me say it in the update. Buffalo wins tonight, 2 points, and if Tampa Bay doesn't win in regulation, it goes to overtime, That would tip the tiebreaker in Buffalo's direction, so Buffalo would win the division. Okay, what I didn't kind of mention there was the opponent. It's Detroit. They suck. They are running for the bus. They got booed off the ice, and I'm not expecting the Red Wings to all of a sudden rise up in Tampa tonight and do the Sabres any favor. So what do I predict is going to happen? I predict both teams will win tonight. I predict it's going to come down to coming up on Wednesday where, okay, you won't get Colton Chaos in goal and everybody will have a grand old party. I mean, I would love that, right? And maybe you reward some Amherst here. You could do that this week with there not being a game until Friday. Hellenius, send him up, right? Like, are there any other Amherst you would say, would deserve it? Maybe Devin Levi goes up. Who knows? Well, I think the Sabres are going to need that game because I don't see Detroit kind of rising up tonight. I think Tampa takes care of things in order. Of course, there's the scenario that the Sabres lose both those games. Montreal wins that last one, and then it'll be Montreal getting in. And could you imagine that if Montreal? I think Lindy Ruff's kind of right to a certain extent. Like, you don't want to be talking about who you want as your next. Every team you can say is going to be tough. Boston, I've heard that is the consensus. Yeah, everybody nodding their head. Yeah, I want Boston. They have Swayman. Right? Ottawa. Well, Ottawa can be kind of tough, and Tkachuk can be kind of dirty. Nobody is going to say the Sabres are going to win in 4 or 5. Like, this is going to be the joy of playoff hockey. How it is
agony.
It's nauseating.
I'm so excited to feel it again.
Yeah. I mean, for the Amherst, we felt it. Tim, I remember listening to Don Stevens, and this is going back to Seth Appert's last year where, oh my gosh, they're going to get eliminated. And then they scored 3 times in the third. Now, they ended up losing on home ice, a few games after that, but oh my gosh, the Amherst staved off elimination. It was fantastic. But yeah, this is the stuff we kind of live for as sports fans. We'll get to that story. Ryan Talbot also has a nugget here too about the Buffalo Bills. We have time for your calls as well. 866-4326 is our phone number. G. Battaglia, along with Dan Drummy and Tim Schneider, here on WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Sabres hockey tonight, Buffalo at Chicago. A win for Buffalo in regulation, and anything less than a regulation win for Tampa Bay. And the Buffalo Sabres will be the Atlantic Division champs. Head coach Lindy Ruff says, no, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Just take care of one game at a time, and knowing that Chicago's got some real good young players and they can be dangerous. So we got to make sure that, we bring our A game. It's going to be a hard task.
7:30 for the pregame coverage tonight. Puck drop at 8:30. Meanwhile, the Amerks magic number to reach the postseason is down to 1. The Amerks host Cleveland this Friday night. It's also the final home game of the regular season. Amerks could also get in on Wednesday should Belleville beat Utica. Rochester Red Wings open a series tomorrow at the stadium, taking on Buffalo. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Yeah, it is draft week coming up next week, and the Bills need a lot of things, right? They need help on the defensive line. They need a linebacker. They need some help in the secondary, and certainly they need a wide receiver. This is an interesting nugget here, and I trust Ryan Talbot. Good friend of the show, was actually the first guest ever on the show, and the first guest in the reboot. What was the reboot? The reboot was this. The reboot was July of 2020 when, hey, everybody go home. I'm thinking, all right, are we going to come back here? Well, we did come back because the Bills were coming back that season, and Ryan came on, and Ryan is always gracious with his time. But the reality is this. The Bills don't have a second-round pick. And pick 26, you might have to go defense. So if that is going to be the case, what do you do? How do you address the wide receiver position? This is interesting. Per a league source, according to Ryan Talbot, the Bills have shown significant interest in UConn wide receiver Skylar Bell. Bell finished 2025 with 101 receptions and 1,278 yards and 13 touchdowns. The wide receiver has good speed and can hurt teams in all three levels of the field. He's projected to be a day 2 pick. It sounds like a third-round pick for Buffalo, does it not? Ideally, this is what I think will happen. I do think the Buffalo Bills will end up trading down. Because what did the Bills in last year? Yes, you could say don't turn the damn ball over 4 times. I hear you on that. But Josh is playing superhero because, well, the supporting cast around him, let's just say this. In the Bills' playoff era, that was the worst supporting cast. And part of it was the depth. Injuries, depth, and you're relying on guys that were on the street, like Jordan Poyer, who played very well. In other areas, like, okay, you need help. You need depth at every area. You're going to need competition. Like that roster, and again, I'm not over the moon on what the Buffalo Bills have done so far this season. This Bradley Chubb, Moore at wide receiver, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Okay, these are all veterans that know what to do when they show up, but are they really game changers? You're hoping that Moore will be, but that's a high price. And to give up the second-round pick for Moore, that is kind of the consensus, right? Hey, you like the move. You really don't have money's not mine, but really you want to give up a second-round pick? It might make sense for the Bills to trade down, and by trading down, maybe you pick up an extra third. I don't think you pick up a second unless you're trading out of the first altogether. And I do like having first-round picks because I like that fifth-year option. If you do pop on that, that's a nice kind of control measure here. Funny that, like, we wouldn't be talking about the Keon Coleman fifth-year option, right? He's a second-year receiver. So the Bills OTAs, they're continuing out there. But this is the story that kind of cropped up. And you would think in this day and age, with everybody into everybody else's business, that you would know something here. But how do we not know this about Ruben Bain Jr.? So Ruben Bain Jr., edge rusher, Miami. All your mock drafts, hey, not available when the Bills come around in 26. You would have to trade up, right? Some have him going in the top 10. And sometimes, edge rushers, it's an eye of the beholder sort of deal, but I think, all right, this is kind of consensus top half of the first round guy, right? This courtesy of Oliver Connolly. He writes a newsletter called The Read Optional. And he did his work on this. And this is the fun thing. Like anybody, like you want to go find a story, they're out there. And how did everybody in the draft community miss on this? Well, apparently, Reuben Bain Jr., it's St. Patrick's Day 2024. So more than 2 years ago. It's 4 a.m. in the morning. All right. And he's got 4 passengers in the car. He clips another car on Route 95, Interstate 95 in Florida, collides with a concrete barrier. And Bain's cited for driving the car in a careless or negligent manner. This is important, this last part. No sobriety test was given at the crash scene. One passenger, her name was Destiny Betts. Destiny Betts suffered injuries at this crash. She was taken to a trauma center, and she would later die in June. So she hung on for 3 months. There was another female passenger who was also injured and taken to the hospital, and I'm not sure the results of what happened with her. So let's review. Reuben Bain Jr., not given a sobriety test, but was ticketed for careless and negligent manner, and never faced any criminal charges. This is an interesting scruples question. We should get Chris Trapasso and others on. Like, okay, does this force this individual to fall down in the draft that this came out? He, again, didn't get arrested, but there's also something you've got to point out, too. Like him driving in a way that he gets ticketed, you can kind of connect the dots that leads to the death of another young woman in the car. And for the family of Destiny Betts, there's the time limit. You still could file a civil suit. And are you filing a civil suit to go after NIL money, or was there an attorney? And again, this is speculative on my part, but if I'm an attorney advising, I say, you know what? Why don't we kind of wait until actually this individual? Because to me, that's something that, all right, you're going to draft this pass rusher, but there's a chance there's going to be some bad pub about one of your guys here in a civil suit, and it's going to draw this up. Now, this came about, and there was one press conference that was done, and maybe this is the newsy sort of thing, because when stories come up like this, and the Lions GM was asked about it, and he says, yes, we knew about this. Pretty much everybody knew. So, again, this was to my point earlier in the show that when it comes to NFL mock draft season, what we learned last year is, hey, it's kind of a circle thing, right? One mock draft, it's all kind of opinion on the outside, but when it comes to personnel people, they had a much different opinion of Shedeur Sanders. And where we were all kind of saying, by we, I meant NFL media or people who read mocks, hey, Reuben Bain Jr., he might go in the top 10. Will he? This is the question for Buffalo, because there was not going to be a pass rusher of this sort of ilk for you at 26. Would you do this if you're Brandon Beane? Would you actually roll the dice and go after Reuben Bain Jr.?
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
If he falls that far, Jalen Carter should have gone first overall.
Okay, so that was going to be my point. Like, Jalen Carter falls to Philadelphia. Jalen Carter ends up being the defensive rookie of the year out of Georgia in kind of a similar situation where he's driving after and he causes harm, right? And he's, in terms of the criminal side, he's free and clear, but hey, they call us into question, what are you doing there? I find it interesting that how did the South Florida media not pick up on this? Is it just that we're in a day and age of social media that like real reporting doesn't happen as it should? It's pretty clear, right? This was one of the top guys on the Miami Hurricane defense. And I think Miami is somewhere where, all right, they love the Dolphins. If you're from South Florida, I think they're A and B. I think they're interchangeable depending on who's better. It's not that way here. If Syracuse football ever got good again, and I'm not talking like the oddball 9 or 10 win. We had that years ago. I'm talking about playoff appearance. Sure, we'd be into it. It wouldn't compare to the Bills, though. I think down there in Miami, I think, okay, the Hurricanes for their history and maybe the Dolphins that they've tailed off, I think they're interchangeable in terms of interest. How did nobody find out about this? And when they're rolling the highlights and everything, I mean, I feel terrible for the young woman's family who they're going to watch this. Hey, if I'm, the advisor here or the attorney, I'm just saying, let's hold off on this. We can do this and make sure you're compensated in the right way. I don't think they would be doing it for headlines. I think they would want justice in that. So again, that's just a terrible story. 585-866-4326 is our phone number to give a call. Hey, it was a bad year for the Rangers, and we just mentioned that the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils all kind of missing out together on the postseason. Tonight will be the final start ever in his NHL career for Jonathan Quick. So Jonathan Quick just now announcing that he's going to retire. So the Rangers playing the Panthers and what would normally be a let's lick the stamp and get the hell out of here sort of game, because the Rangers not going to the postseason. And then the Panthers too. There comes a toll when you play the Stanley Cup playoffs back-to-back years. The Panthers, the first team. Wow, I got to look this up. Well, in the last 2 decades, that repeated in any sport, repeated as champs, and then in year number 3 missed the playoffs altogether. That's not great. But they had some injuries, and actually when you take that into context, it's not surprising. But good on, I think you do it both ways. I do believe Alex Ovechkin when he says, I haven't made up my mind. Probably he hasn't. But on the other hand, Washington's still alive. They could still sneak in there. Wouldn't that be something if they ended up getting that 3rd spot in the Metro? They can't get the wild card, but they're still alive. But I also kind of respect the idea that, hey, I'm Jonathan Quick. I'm 40 years old. I won 2 Stanley Cups with the Kings, 2012, 2014. Won a Conn Smythe in there too. And, tonight, this is going to be it. And so that's going to be something that, hey, we'll be watching the Sabres. We'll be paying attention to Tampa Bay. And I'm not anticipating Detroit to do us any favors, right? They're just going to mail it in. They're going to just lay down against there. But I think Jonathan Quick, that's a really kind of cool thing for Ranger fans here to wrap up with. Our phone number is 585-866-4326. Last call is for you. Sun is coming out. Let's take your calls coming up next, some of your tweets as well. My name is Gene Battaglia with Tim Schneider and Dan Drummey here on WGR Rochester.
Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Our worlds are going to collide here in the Sports Bar. Welcome back here. Gene Battaglia with you. Last segment, our phone number 585-866-4326 if you want to jump in here. Our handle on X is at WGR Rochester. Worlds colliding because longtime producer in the background, I think he's actually in for you tomorrow. Do I remember this correctly, or is it next week?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, so you're not here tomorrow.
Correct.
Dan DeLorean, for whatever reason, and I can't explain it, and quite honestly, you probably don't care, but he's an Ottawa Senators fan to the point where I think this is taboo. Like, you should always be for the Red Wings and the Amherst. Period. End of story. But, Gene, I'm a Yankee fan, and I want to... Okay, that's fine. You can go out, and you can go see the Martian, or whoever's coming through the Mets. I'm a Met fan, but I'm not cheering for the Syracuse Mets. That's a no-no. I'm sorry. And for Dan DeLorean, when Belleville comes into town, he's like all sense, like, dude, no. We've had this argument, but at the end of the day, we love Dan DeLorean, right? And it's the Belleville Senators, whatever. Right, so they should be grateful, Belleville. They're in the American Hockey League. That's the way I kind of look at it. Belleville can put the Amherst in the postseason. How do you like that? So this time of year makes for strange bedfellows, does it not? The Amherst magic number is at 1. Utica playing Belleville. Belleville has been eliminated. So if you go back, how many days now? 10 days? Like, go back to the previous Friday. We're like, oh, my gosh, the Amherst lost to Belleville. They're going to – no, Belleville kind of fell apart. They're out. And the Amherst won, 4 straight, was it? For the Amherst, though, they'll be in on Wednesday should Belleville get the win. And Utica, anything less than getting the 2 points, should put it that way. If Utica gets the loser point, they're done. Utica needs 2 points. Magic number is at 1. And if you're the Amherst, if you're Mike Leone, boy, wouldn't that be a relief?
Yeah.
That would be like the idea that, all right, we got to go and, gallop about Pennsylvania, which who put this schedule together? They're brutal. You should finish up against divisional opponents, but no. I guess there has to be one odd team out, I suppose. But the Amherst are that odd team out this year. The Amherst have to go down to Wilkes-Barre and then to Hershey. First visit of the season to Hershey is on the last regular season game. It'll be Don's Lever last regular season game on the call this Sunday. So the idea is that, all right, you don't have to worry. You can rest Devin Levi if you want to. You can just make it the Rochester Iceman, Jacksonville North, whatever you want to call it, right, this weekend. That would be wonderful. Friday night should be a good crowd, I would anticipate, with it being the final home game. So we have that to look forward to this week, and I don't have the word on when those playoff games would be, but the play-in matchup always has to happen relatively quick. 585-866-4326 is our phone number. Writing in on X. Rich, in my earlier I had said, hey, thank goodness, like if Rory collapsed, and it kind of looked that way, did it not? Double bogey. Wow, he's not in the lead. He fought back. Can you imagine if Rory, after an epic collapse, would be forced then to put the green jacket on? That just would have been cringy. I hope Augusta National would have broke that tradition. Rich writing in, I wanted that Scheffler-Rory playoff.
That would have been fun.
I kind of did too. I like. Is it wrong when Rory just completely sliced that one? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you look like me out there. Like, like. Part of me was thinking, oh, this just made it a hell of a lot more interesting here. Like, if he hits the fairway and you got how many putts, but now it's like, wow. He might actually double bogey this last hole. Good that he had the 2-hole lead. Is that wrong that I had that thought? Like, I want to see a playoff, but in order to get to that playoff, it would mean failure for Rory McIlroy here?
Scheffler missed that putt narrowly. I think it was 17.
17,
If he drops that, it makes Rory's – that double was easy for him to avoid. But he bogeyed. If that's all he needed, if he needed a par and that first shot, like that would have been chaotic and it would have been, who knows how it turns out. But that was a fun finish that could have been even more fun if Scheffler hit that on 17.
Such a weird finish too, where CBS, like, okay, there's Rory hitting a shot to get out of danger. Because I'm looking at this, I'm like, boy, you could hit one of these trees and then it's really on. But he figured out a way to hook it over that bigger tree. And then, okay, did he get to the green? Did it hit a tree? Where did it go? And the announcers aren't saying anything. There are literally hundreds of people on the CBS broadcast between camera and spotters and all the countless people in the truck, all the cameras, everybody being monitored, and nobody knew where that ball went. And finally, like, you got back to it a few minutes later, like, oh, it's in the sand. And that's what happened, and you're able to chip out of the sand. So good on Rory McIlroy, back-to-back Masters champ here at Augusta National. Tomorrow on the show, it's the return of Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, the Shout podcast, as we've got a lot of Bills talk here they're going to get caught up on, do we not here? The second wave of free agency has been relatively quiet for this team. And how do I know this? Like, the last move the Buffalo Bills made, let me just make sure I get the date right on this. Got to go back to March. March 27th. The Bills re-signed DeMar Hamlin, which, okay, that's fine. Weird fact, too. DeMar Hamlin finished third on tackles on the team last year. Not a good sign, in my opinion. Not a good sign at all. But, okay, the 27th, that is more than 2 weeks ago. And you have a lot of holes on this team. Apparently, I don't know, my read on this, the fact that there hasn't been any other signings since then just kind of tells me, all right, we're actually going to kind of wait for the draft, see where things come out, and then it's a, hey, we like you, whether it's Matt Milano or Shaq Thompson or whoever, but we like you at this number. Or maybe there's somebody else out there that we like you, but we like you at this number. You know, the Bills can't get footloose and fancy-free when it comes to their spending now. They just cannot. So I think my read on it is that our attention now is squarely on the draft. And like we say this every year, but it's so true. In this short window with Josh Allen, short relatively speaking, right? This isn't baseball where you can play 15, 20 years. Like Josh Allen, in his prime, we're running out of time here. And the Bills have to ace these drafts. They just do. And do I think what I brought up earlier, will a Ruben Bain fall to 26? The answer is no. But the Bills should be prepared for that. Like if it's a player that, okay, maybe was going to go 12, 13, maybe even top 10 at some point. Ruben Bain, could he fall to 26? I think he could. And I think the Bills should take Ruben Bain if that ends up happening. I don't think I'm trading up to, say, 18 or 19. I'm not giving up assets. In fact, I stand by this. Like it's sexy, it's unpopular, but because the Bills need more than what they have in days 1 and 2, if there's a way you could trade down and pick up an extra day 2 pick, say, get another third-round pick, and that's what you would do. Also joining us on the show tomorrow, Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach. No, the Amherst didn't get any points this weekend. However, they inch closer to the postseason. We'll talk to the Amherst head coach tomorrow on the show. Missed any of the show today, our fine producer Dan Drummy, the Dan DeLorean as we call him, he's got everything in bite-sized form. You can just go back and listen to the Rewind feature anytime, 1 to 3 Eastern time. We're on the air live. And for everybody listening in the Odyssey app and you want to comment, just know that your comments won't be seen unless it's 1 to 3 Eastern time. Tonight, we've got Sabres hockey, 7:30 for the pregame coverage, 8:30 puck drop. Again, a Sabres win in regulation, coupled by anything less than a regulation win for Tampa. The Sabres will be divisional champs. Shope and the Bulldog up next for Tim Schneider. I'm Gene Battaglia. This is WGR Rochester.
You're in the sport.